Yo guys, Coach Theo here on Common Sense. Today I'm gonna tell you how I changed my mindset and myself and my life. And I'm gonna tell you how you can do it too. Because if there's something I learned 6 years ago when I started radically transforming myself and my life for the better, it's that if I could do it from the position I was in, then guess what? Anyone could do it. Of this, I'm 100% sure. It's just a question of, are you willing to do what it takes? No one said it's easy. But difficult does not equal impossible, all right? So I used to be a skinny fat, loser, hedonist, nihilist kind of person, completely lost in my life, no ambition, or if I had ambition, I just had no idea of how I should go about it. So I'm lost. Anything I study, anything a little work, job I have here and there, it's not something I truly care about. It's just because I gotta do something. I gotta occupy myself with something, right? I gotta make money somehow. Money that I would just spend on bullshit, chasing pleasure, partying, drinking, weed, junk food. And I would chase girls, try to hook up with girls to feel some kind of validation, feel good about myself, some kind of meaning, When that didn't work, just porn and, watching tons and tons of TV series, video games, hours on end. Just pleasure-seeking behavior like that, and surrounding myself with guys with a similar lifestyle or lack thereof. I changed from this guy to Jack the Stacked, Solar Knight, Giga Chad, uncommonsensetheo of today, basically the polar opposite of my old self. And I'm thinking about this for this video today because someone commented on a community post I did here on YouTube yesterday, and he said, I'll be 33 years old soon, and I'm lazy, I'm fat, I'm this and that. My life is a wreck. How did you change your mindset? And I've of course told who I used to be, skinny fat loser, hedonist, nihilist kind of guy many times, and how I hit rock bottom starting having these panic attacks, how I faced them, and how I changed, right? Today, I'm gonna tell you what specifically, I'm gonna focus on what mindset I used to have, and how that changed, how I wanted things to change, how I hoped and I expected things would change, and how they actually changed. And then I'm going to circle back to what advice would I give someone like this guy who's soon to be 33 years old? What advice would I give if I could go back to 25-year-old Theo back then, right? So, I hit rock bottom and started having those daily panic attacks, right? That an experience like that is shocking because it's shocking. Panic attack, it's basically like being thrown into what feels like a psychedelic trip, drug trip gone horribly wrong, except you didn't take anything. And that's also scary. How can I be feeling this terror, horror, for seemingly no reason? But on the other hand, it was not shocking. Like after the fact, it's like, I've not been feeling good for a long time, neither physically or mentally, I would say that I'm someone that struggled since very early in life. I had a tough childhood, So since my teens, I can remember having periods of intense depression or anxiety. And it goes up and down. You have some periods of your life when you have a bit more fun, things are going a bit more your way. But I'm saying I'm someone that struggled since quite early. And I would say in my 20s, like the ups were fewer, further in between, and I started going lower and lower, right? So it was not a surprise, right? But what I've been thinking about leading up to this was like, I was looking like people do at everything but myself, right? We feel terrible about ourselves, but the ego likes to make up stories about why, like, the terrible life you have right now, everything that's tough for you, that you hate, sucks, it's everything's fault but yours, basically, So for instance, I'm someone that's officially diagnosed with ADHD. I don't, care too much for these diagnoses, but clearly there are some people that are closer to the like neurotypical average and some that are not. And I had always known since quite early in life that I seem to be different in some ways, but basically mostly from the aspect that tons of things that the other kids struggle with are really easy for me. Like I'm logic, I'm good at problem solving, spelling, math, these things were easy for me. But I felt with societies, it's like overly structured. It kind of promotes this just like bookworm studying, learning things by heart kind of thing. It's like what should be my strength is like a limitation. That's like stories it's complete victim narratives that I'm telling myself, because look, a lot of things are, it's fucked up, a lot of things in society. But the thing is, if you are in that society, you're gonna have to do something about it. Like, you cannot wait for the world to change, you have to change. And what I would tell my old self is like, you know, you're right about some of these things, but it is because you have these strengths that you're gonna find your way anyway, right? Yeah, no one said it easy, but you can do it, right? And other things, you know, why I'm feeling so poorly, for instance, I'm telling myself that it's this with, you know, the political situation also, because I was someone that had spent a lot of time following the news, getting angrier and angrier, basically, going further and further, you know, right, like far right, alt-right or whatever, and I felt so much like, you know, I see all these things that are wrong in society that no one else sees it, and it's like, oh, things are going to hell, and I'm so upset about this, and you know, all of this, it like drains me, you know, when if I should get my shit together somehow, not that I knew exactly what to do, you know, but it's like I can't. It's like I can't be bothered because everything is so miserable. Anyway, so basically I blame the world, you know, but something that I keep forgetting, that it was like right before the panic attacks, it's like I started realizing some things that, you know, I realized I have to change, you know, like, it's like I'm stuck in the life situation. I'm not happy, but nothing is changing, you know. And what I started realizing was that it's like I'm too comfortable, you know. It's like I'm going through all this existential pain, like misery. I feel terrible. But somehow something about just living this way, you know, just numbing yourself out as much as possible with the vices, alcohol, you know, partying, blah blah, all that stuff, right? Somehow it's still comfortable enough. So it's like I'm not finding in me to do anything to change. Again, I was quite lost in many ways, but so we're gonna come back to what I would say. But one of the things that I knew, for instance, that I've been like putting off a long time was my physical health. Like, I knew I should be training, right? I knew I should probably improve my diet. Not that I knew so much about what's a good diet back then, but that's one of the things that I could know that I should do. But I started like seeing that it's like it's like I'm not finding in me to change. I'm just stuck in being this way, right? But then come the panic attacks, and it's like, now it's not working anymore, right? It's not working. That there's no escape anymore. It's too much. It's too much. So now, when I'm thrown into really, I had like not been feeling good before, but now I'm thrown into what's like 1,000 times worse. Like, no exaggeration. That's how intense it was. But that's what it took for me to find in me, like, I have to do something now, because I realized that, okay, now I'm not that comfortable anymore. You know, like now I have to do something, or else I'll die. I'm gonna kill myself, right? Or I'll live as a shut-in, medicated zombie and effectively have no life, you know. You know, what is it they say, you know, how some men live to 70 but they were buried at 30 or something. That would have been me, you know. But so I figured I had to do something, you know. So I go on sick leave for 50%, so I get some kind of relief, you know. But I have this habit to go into my job, right? And it's like just to face it, you know. I realize that it's so appealing now to just hide inside. I have to go outside and face this, you know. And you know, many times I would fail. I wouldn't make it all the way to the work, or I would have to leave earlier. But do you know what I see that I did now in hindsight? I did, because look, I did the only thing that seemed like this must be a step in the right direction, but my experience is not that of, oh, this is working, you know. I'm going through these panic attacks over and over again. Many times when I manage to get to my job and stay there, I'm like happy. The next day, I don't manage to even get there, you know. It's like, you know. But what I realized that I was doing, I was going to failure. I was going to failure over and over again, just like in the gym. Go as far as you can, then rest, and then come back and go as hard as you can again, right? That's just what I did. And for long enough, like that, I'm gonna actually do a video, tell these stories a bit more in detail. But you know, it was long enough of progressively overloading like this. It was other situations than the job, right? And then now I come out on the other side, and I still feel quite worn out, like burnt out. But I have like new hope. Emotionally, I start, even if I'm like very tired, I start feeling this like, man, the panic attacks. It felt like years, right? Because it's so intense. 1 minute in a panic attack when you're sitting and thinking, you know, it feels like an eternity, you know. But so this thing that had felt impossible it would actually finally over after enough consistent action in the right direction. So now I'm so grateful, so I'm start thinking like, oh, they say that eating better and physical exercise is good, not just for the physical health, but even for mental health. I figured I got to do everything in my power so that this thing doesn't happen again. And very fast, I noticed from very short training sessions, from just walking a bit more, from just removing some obvious junk that I've been leaning on in my diet, just a couple of weeks of that made me feel so much better, right? And I saw, now we're gonna get back to what would I tell this guy that commented, what would I tell this guy back then? I saw the connections now that, it's all the things that I feel like running from, like that I had before the panic attacks. The panic attacks, I obviously wanted to run from. That's what you feel like, do fight or flight, right? But I saw the pattern that so much, all the things my life, I found excuses to blame, like, that when I'm really afraid, I'm fearful of going somewhere, like not literally, just behavior-wise, doing something. I find all these reasons to blame, and just not face this, right? But I learned now, like after facing the panic attacks that I felt so much like I do not want to, but doing it over and over and over again, that's what actually finally made me comfortable in all those situations, right? And I saw the same thing, that with the training that to begin with, I'm not good at it. I, like everyone, I'm looking for excuses not to have to do it. It's tough, But when I saw the connection, that when I've gone through that mental battle of trying to escape the workout, but I do it, I've eaten better for a little while, I noticed that now I feel better now instead, I made a connection that, first of all, it's actually today is the first day I'm thinking of it like that. I was going to failure over and over, because that's kind of my approach in training. I like to train very hard to failure, right? That's actually what I did, but it was progressive overload also, just taking it further, exposing myself more, expanding my comfort zone more with what I faced, what kinds of situation I faced when I was in that state, right? And this, that what I fear, like what's uncomfortable for me, what I feel resistant towards, that's exactly where I need to go. That's exactly what I need to go, just a little step at a time. Just a little step at a time. You see that? So this guy that's sitting fat and lazy, my life is a wreck. Like, how did you change your mindset? It's like, you can wait to hit rock bottom like I did, that there's a funny meme about that hitting rock bottom on purpose, because I understand how alchemy works, right? I've had a discussion with some people. Do you have to hit rock bottom to find it in you to actually change, And I've thought about it a lot, and I do not think you have to. I think when you're someone like me, it's like that just forced me. It forced me to face it, but that's kind of the whole purpose of this YouTube channel, is that I want to come and don't let it go that far. Not everyone would have come back from, I might as well have ended it, I might as well not have come through that. So, and also, if you're waiting for something to happen, that, lights a fire under your ass, maybe you're someone that just never happens to. And then you sit there at the end of your life, still lazy, still fat, and you're like, I accomplished nothing and now I die, right? So it's like, what I want to tell you is that even when you feel like lost, you don't know your life situation, you're not happy about it, you don't know where to start, just start somewhere. Just start somewhere. Okay, that's the whole thing. You fumbling in the dark. Okay, it's not obvious. I didn't know after the panic attack thing. I just started working on my physical health. I'm not going to tell the stories about what other things I did, but the point is, I did not know exactly where to take my life, but I saw that this is something that clearly improves my life right now. I'll focus and invest in that, and then some things work out in the meantime. I finish some studies, so I find a little job here and there. I start thinking, I think I'm getting much better results than I thought with this training, maybe I should work with this, And I'm not saying that everyone that starts doing that life change is going to become like a personal trainer or YouTuber or holistic bodybuilding life coach or whatever, But the point is that even when you don't know what you want to do with your life, just find something that's a good thing. Start there. A lot of things are going to reveal themselves, Just take some kind of action. Even just do things that you don't know if they're going to lead to something positive, but you see what I mean. Take a course, hit a seminar, start a new activity, new hobby, but mainly, honestly, and that's why I'm so big on this. The physical, start with the physical. There's no one that gets worse from exercising more, eating better, That's why it's such a good place to start. When you want to fix yourself and your life, start with the things that's completely within your control, because when it comes to many other things like relationships, jobs, business, all these things, they have to do with you also, but they are things now you're actually going to depend on the outside people and things, right? The physical, your health habits, that's something that's completely within your control. So start there, You say you're lazy and fat. Well, just start going to the gym. Just start walking a bit more. Just improve your diet a bit. It doesn't have to be much more serious. So no much more calculated than that when you start. Just start doing something. Start doing something. And what I want to circle back to is that now I tell you, how did I change my mindset back then? The thing is, it's not that it's easy for me now, I still do you know what happens with success? And with success, I just mean someone going in a direction they want in their life. I don't have any like standards for success, like, I don't know, money, you get tons of women, blah blah. I don't care the shit about that. Success to me is going in a direction, building the sort of life you want, right? So the point is that when you are more successful, when you've leveled up, you just get new problems, It's still the same thing, right? So let's say 1 year ago, I felt like complete shit. I had a really difficult year, emotionally draining, and then because of that, I also struggle with work, and I feel this huge stress, and I'm like, what should I do? What should I do? But I didn't know exactly what to do, but what I just don't do is I don't regress. I don't just start doing shit that I know is counterproductive, right? I just do whatever I can, I was working less. I didn't exactly know where to take my work. Well, just do less then. Just create space for coming up with it, But I want to, no. Everything you tried before, it didn't work. Just take it slow, Like in my case, what I'm saying last year, what I had to do to come further was to actually take a step back and chill a bit. Now I regained some strength. I found new energy, and I started building up, and I built up to good momentum. But again, guys, like now, I don't feel bad really, but I have things I struggle with in my life. I don't feel like my life is a wreck, like this guy said, but the point is that just because you follow someone, and in this case, like certain things are like, I'll never struggle with diet and training again, for instance, but that doesn't mean I'll never struggle in my life again, just because maybe I've achieved certain results that feel like very far away from you. It's just, again, you just get new problems, right? So now it's like, don't even have to go into it. I've just been in a spot where I don't feel like I know that it's obvious that everything I would like is happening, or how that's supposed to happen in my life. But guess what? I know certain things that I can do. I'll just focus on that. I'll just do the best I can. I'll just take steps that I know are positive somehow, and do my best to not worry too much about this. It's gonna, when you take positive action, when you take responsibility, and instead of like, my life is not good like this, or if only that, it's always ask you, what can I do? What can I do? And when you don't know much, it's like, well, what can I do that I know is at least something, one little step at a time. Like, I hope I'm making sense. I feel like I'm talking in circles and repeating myself at this point, but it's like some of these things are so fucking difficult to just, I want you to just understand that, I guess, what I should have said earlier, apart from all these things that I learned, that, facing what's difficult, going to failure, progressive overload, the last thing I'll say that I learned is that no one is coming to save you, okay? Like, it's great if we can build good relationships and we have friends that can help us and stuff, but in the end, like, when you're in a position like that, no one else is gonna sort out your life. No one, like, you feel like shit because, okay, I don't want to be too harsh now, because you are shit in a sense. Like, no one else can just pull it. If you are shit, you're gonna feel shitty no matter what. You have to change, is the point. No one is coming to save you. You have to save yourself. And I actually wrote this down on and like this. I wrote this down on an introspective day I had with myself. That's the thing. Many times, that's the tough thing with the video game of life. You just don't see a boss in the distance and I have to go there and hit him 3 times on the head. The things that we standing for sometimes, it's very, it's like, it's not clear. It's not clear. All you can do is kind of fumble. What I mean is like, take steps that could lead to something positive, and you'll find out on the way, okay? So I hope this all made sense, guys. 2025 put an end to the version of you that we just don't want around anymore. We become the best version of you, the one that keeps growing from this point. So yeah, like and comment as always, guys. Always interested to hear your input. I do holistic bodybuilding coaching. Guys, if you haven't been able to do it on your own and you're not hitting rock bottom, putting pressure on yourself somehow. So by investing in yourself, getting the support from someone that has the tools, that has a certain result similar to the one you're looking for, that's the best way to create some external pressure, put some external accountability on yourself. So if you are interested, you can send me DM on Instagram or email me. It's the contact information, it's in the description. I'll get back to you, tell you about my different options. I should mention, by the way, that I'm thinking about bringing back a more economic option, a group coaching option, sort of, with a weekly group coaching call. If you watch this far, just let me know if that's something you would be interested in. I'm thinking about how I should structure that. You could pick up my training book, everything philosophy, mindset, and just training information related you need in order to become a self-reliant, jacked and stacked individual. And please subscribe for more content about fitness, fast losing weight, building muscle, self-improvement, stoicism, mental health, philosophy, spirituality, mindset. It is a mindset, guys. No one is coming to save you. You have to do it, no matter how unclear, how difficult or whatever. You have to do it. Little by little, one action at a time. You'll find your way. Peace.